Let me get this set up. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is going to be on the principle of gender, the last of our 7 Hermetic Principles. And as usual, I'm going to start this podcast off with a quote. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. And we're going to go deeper into that. Like when you think about gender, when we're discussing gender in this topic, there is the physical plane of gender referring to sex as male, female, but we're also referring to the spiritual plane and the energies associated with the feminine and masculine concepts. And I'll be getting this information in large part from the Kabillion.com. Well, the first part anyways. And then the second part, we transition it into another article that I found, because the concept of gender, like when we talk about energies and spirituality and stuff like that, people kind of feel certain type of ways about that depending on their, conceptualization of spirituality and religion and stuff like that. But it's all about what you open up your mind to. The 7 Hermetic Principles are just principles that have been passed down through time. Is ancient knowledge where people are trying to teach us how to be in charge of ourselves, our minds, our spirits, and ultimately our environment. And the goal is to create balance, because when you create balance, you live in harmony. So these 7 Hermetic Principles teach you how to cultivate an environment for balance. And then these are just things that we have to practice on a daily basis. Because discipline equals freedom. That's what Jocko Willink says. And the discipline to stick to something day in, day out will help you in turn become balanced and centered. Again, the following information I got in large part from Kabillion.com or .org. Also, I would recommend that you read the book, The Kabillion. It's a great book. It's very insightful. It definitely changed the way that I think about things, and it's a good read. It's not long. It's not complex. It's very simple. And there's websites, YouTube, Google. You can go to get a deeper meaning of what all this stuff is. Because like I'm talking on a very superficial level just to put the information out there. But if you want a deeper understanding and you want to see how it applies to your life, or how you can, get into it really, really deep, then I encourage you to read, the Kabillion, or look it up through some of those other platforms that I was talking about. Or you can send a message to me at my website. It's ytin.org, yourtimeisnow.org. And we could chat about it. Maybe we can make a discussion group or something like that. I'd be open to, whatever. So this principle of gender embodies the truth that gender is manifested in everything. And even not on a physical or spiritual level, if you just look around you, you see gender manifested in everything. Like usually when they talk about like parts of things, they have like the male and the female end, or it's really about balance. It's the same thing like the principle of polarity. There's day and night. Well, the male masculine energy and the feminine energy is just the polarity, the energy version of polarity. This is polarity, but in the sense of mental and feminine energies, specifically focusing on the energies. Um, like I said, it's true not only in the physical plane, but in the spiritual plane, and it is much bigger than just physical sex. Like me being a man and someone else being a woman, it's much bigger than that. You're operating on a much higher plane. These are talking about the energies, the masculine and feminine energies. Um, it works in a cycle. All right. So the cycle that it follows is generation, regeneration, and creation. And this cycle is made up of all of the energies, well, both of the energies. So it's feminine and masculine energies. Um, and feminine and masculine energies have different properties that are associated with them. And since we all have these energies, you know, these energies allow us to type into certain talents and certain characteristics and aspects of ourselves. Um, there's usually, in society, that things that say like a man has to be this way and a woman has to be that way, or usually are this way and that way, or exhibit these characters and that characters. Um, some of that, not all of that, is associated in masculine energy and feminine energy. Those are characteristics of those type of energies. So the next website that I went to was goop.com. That is GOOP.com. And there was an article on there that talked about wellness, and it was wellness specifically tailored to the energies, balancing your energies. And a concept that I've always kind of been infatuated with is the concept of yin and yang. There's so much that can be said about the concept of yin and yang. And from an early age, I saw kind of the uniqueness in the concept. Overall, to me, it was about balance, but there's a lot that goes into it. And when I was studying, this principle, the principle of gender, I ran into the principle of yin and yang. So yin and yang actually discusses masculine and feminine energies. I didn't know that. But again, it's the balance between the two and how they complement one another. So that's what the concept of yin and yang is truly about balance, but more so balancing your masculine and feminine energies and the properties that are associated with each. So on Goop.com, the author states that masculine energy is kind of associated with assertiveness and dominance, and feminine energy is more associated with like intuitiveness and caring. Not saying that's the only qualities that masculine and feminine energies exhibit, but those are some of the more pronounced, the more famous qualities or well-known qualities. So yin refers to the feminine energies in life, and yang refers to the masculine energy in life. And again, it's all about trying to obtain balance. So this is what they mean by when you hear like people say, try to get centered. When you're centered, you have balance. You're not leaning to the left or to the right. So you have balance. You're centered. And in obtaining being centered, you can make decisions, to clear mind, because one energy is not more dominant than the other, or suppressing the talents and the gifts that come with the other, because they both have talents and gifts, as well as they both have negative aspects to them as well. This again is the principle of polarity. There's balance between the two energies, but they complement one another at the same time. Let's see. Giving is an action associated with masculine energy, whereas receiving is an action associated with feminine energy. And again, this is what the author says when he or she, I didn't see who it was, but again, this is the author's perspective on the relationship between the energies. I'm definitely going to do more research into this concept, because like I said, yin and yang has always been something that has interested me, the concept of it. But this article is a great article and a good way for me to start. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that you can go on YouTube, or you can go on Google and search the energies, and you can dive even deeper yet and still into it. Again, this is surface level, but I'm just trying to bring you awareness to certain concepts so that you can go out there and find how to center yourself and calm, you know, all the chaos and stuff that you have going in you. Because certain issues that we have might come from sources that we don't even know about. So, for instance, if your energies are not balanced, then that can create a problem. You know, if you're leaning too far masculine and not far enough feminine, which are energies that we all possess. We possess both sides of this energy. Again, principle of polarity. You can't have one without the other. So, knowing this information will help you to get in touch with that, kind of seek out the knowledge, and then, you know, question yourself and discover within yourself, like, hey, maybe I'm too far to the right or too far to the left. I need to focus on getting centered or grounded, you know. And a good way to do that is through meditation. Another good way to do that is through journaling. Journaling and will help you find out a lot about yourself, especially if you ask yourself some of the tougher questions. And meditation will definitely help you to focus on how to create a calmness in your mind and in your spirit as well. It's been something that I've been doing a lot of. So within the article, it's broken up into two parts. And the first part is kind of an introduction. And that's kind of what I just went through with you. The second part is entitled The Four Divine Energy Types. And that's by, I'm going to butcher his name, is Dejanit Nur. It's spelled Deganit. And then the last name is Nuur, Dejanit Nur. And he goes even deeper into yin and yang. So he breaks up yin and yang into the four energy types. So you have greater yin, lesser yang, and greater yang. Okay, those are the four energy types as described by this author. So when you go onto the website and you look at, you know, the chart that he has up there, it describes like what this energy looks like, what it may feel like, how to correct it and get back to center. And it just goes into good detail about, you know, what it feels like, what it looks like if you're there, and then how to get back to center. Again, I'll just put this this link in the descriptions and stuff to the video on my YouTube and on my podcast. I'll put it in the notes box as well, so you can click on it and you can go into it and read deeper into it. But again, greater yin, lesser yang, greater yang. Okay, so greater yin, greater yin. This is about the most feminine energy you could have. This energy is associated with stillness, nighttime, intuition, creativity, feeling, and senses. All right, so that's what the author describes the greater yin as being. This is, okay, if we look at the scale as masculine on the right and feminine energy to the left, or I'm sorry, that's backwards because I'm looking in the camera. The left is masculine energy, the right is feminine energy, right? So greater yin is about as far right as you could go. You know, it's the most feminine energy that one can possess or that one can operate in. Lesser yin. So lesser yin is a little bit more to the left. It's pulling away from the extreme of feminine energy. The lesser yin is slightly more fluid. The composition ranges from 60% to 80% yin and 20% to 40% yang energy. So you're somewhere, you know, in between centered and extreme. You know, you're in that balance. It can be a 60-80 split or a 20-40 split. And again, knowing this type of stuff helps you to be able to center yourself, find what part of your characteristics that you're suppressing and what you can express more, and help you operate and maneuver better in society, in your workplace, and your life at home and your relationships and stuff like that. It's all about learning yourself and the principles that apply to you as a human being. And One of the main reasons, I've discussed this over and over again, one of the main reasons why I create this podcast is because this information is largely circulated, but a lot of people don't know about it. Only people that are in these circles and read this type of knowledge, about it. And sometimes they don't pass the energy off, or they go into chat rooms, or, groups, support groups, or, Facebook groups of like-minded individuals, and they converse about these concepts and energy and the seven hermetic principles and all of this type of knowledge, but they're not giving it to the masses. They're not discussing it with the masses, and the masses are who need it, because they're the people, I feel, who are kind of wandering around, kind of going by what they're taught in school and figuring out life as they go, instead of being taught, like, hey, this is the aspect of life that, is very important, but is not even being discussed, as openly as I feel that it should. Because having inappropriate identification of your energies, and, not knowing about the seven hermetic principles as far as becoming a master of yourself, can lead to some serious issues within yourself that could present itself as other things. So again, this goes back to research, research, research. You got to do your research. You got to learn about yourself. You got to become the master of yourself, because before you can become the master of anything else, the business world, your family, your job, money, or anything, you have to learn about yourself. I don't care what any of these, get rich in 2 weeks or get rich in 7 days or whatever. I mean, if you listen to anybody who is successful and is straightforward, they will all tell you that it's about habits, creating habits, finding out about yourself, and doing those things repetitively that create an environment for success. Not every now and then or once in a while, but repetitively, because discipline equals freedom. So the next one, now we're swinging over to the left into the masculine energy, and this is the lesser yang. So now we're more to the left, but past center still, yet still. Masculine, this is about 60 to 80, is a 60 to 80% split, 60-80 split. This type is a little more extroverted, active, and dominant, with the tendency to move through life at a fast pace. I'm sure that definition in and of itself has identified a lot of us. Sometimes I feel like this might be me. From time to time, sometimes I gotta tell myself to slow down because I get excited and I want to, go, 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 go. But there is a time and place for running. There's a time and place for walking. There's a time and place for everything. It's about balance. It's about being centered. And last, we have greater yang. So this is the masculine energy. This is the most masculine energy you can have. So instead of swinging to the right with feminine energy and the greater yin, now we're all the way to the left with the masculine energy and the greater yang. Greater yang energy is assertive, goal-oriented, accomplished, and dominant. This energy is associated with daytime activity, vision, and power. So, I mean, even in that little bit, we have, discussed a lot. It's a great starting point for you to be able to research and discover more about yourself. Energy work is something that I'm just getting into. I don't know a lot about it, which, instead of, free flowing like I normally do with some of these other topics, gender is something I had to look into a little bit more, because this principle is, I didn't grasp this one as easy as the other ones. I did understand it. I do understand it, especially since it relates so close to the principle of polarity. But it was definitely something I had to pay more attention to, because, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. This type of stuff is not something that we are, that isn't taught openly, that isn't circulated. And I know that when I begun this series on the seven hermetic principles, I started off by saying, all of these principles are things that already exist in our world and that we've heard before. It's just been in different language, more scientific language or philosophical language, but it's been in different language. So the language that I felt like we associate this principle with is the first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy can only be transferred or changed from one form to another. So it's not that you can never operate in no energy. Like you're either operating in this energy or that energy. You're either changing states or, you're operating in one or the other. And to say like you don't possess one or the other is totally going against the laws of nature, pretty much, because all of these principles are related. So in the principle of gender, you have the principle of polarity. I'm sorry, and the principle of cause and effect. So because of the energy you're operating in, which we know exists because of the principle of polarity, can have a cause and effect on the way that you maneuver through life. It can control your thoughts, your feelings, which in turn leads to your actions and determines the results that you get. That's the T for our formula. So like everything that I've been talking about, everything that we've been discussing, it all relates to one another. It all goes full circle. These principles don't stand independent of one another. They are interconnected, and it runs full circle. That's why I like the symbol of the yin and yang. I mean, we're all familiar with the symbol of the yin and yang. If you're not, you should Google it. But it's a whole circle, and then it has a light side with a dark circle, and then a dark side with a light circle. So just look into it. I hope that you enjoyed this series, the 7 Hermetic Principles. I hope it was impactful in your life, and I hope that it encourages you to do more research and discover more about yourself. Learning about ourselves is the most important journey that we can go on. Life is not about a destination, it's about a journey. So I know you're trying to improve yourself. I know you're trying to get better, but it's not about reaching that destination or reaching that point. It's about becoming the best of you.